Good evening, y'all. Welcome back to Cape Crusader Chris. As always, I am Cape Crusader Chris, and I'm doing something that I've never done before, and that is I'm going to be reviewing a comic. So, as you know, Absolute Batman is, I believe, the number one selling comic as of for the last year or so, or since October of last year, or at least it's up there. Um, I have yet to read it. I bought issue number one. Finally, I bought a first print on eBay at a reasonable price. I've been this book. I've been waiting for it since before it came out last year. And why have I not been reading it? A couple of reasons. One, I'm very inconsistent when it comes to continuing following books. Right now I'm reading Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I love. Batman is my number one character, so why haven't I read Absolute Batman? When it came out October of last year, I missed a couple of issues, and then life happened, and now I've been craving wanting to read this book since, I don't know, March, April earlier this year, when there were like a handful of issues in, and I've been waiting, and now I'm here to do it. So I read issue one. So this is how it's going to work. I'm going to read every issue, and I'm going to do a review for every issue, and I'm going to be reviewing the Batman number one that's coming out next month for all, Batman All In, that new Batman by Matt Fraction. So I'm going to go through panels, things that I loved, character development, and I'm gonna go in order of when the story was told. I'm gonna go from, it's not every single panel, but it's panels that stood out to me and story beats that really stood out to me and help shape what this world of Absolute Batman is. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first issue is called The Zoo, part 1 of 5. So I'm assuming the next 4 issues that I'm going to get into are going to revolve around the zoo. Of course, this is spoilers, so if you haven't read it, um, heads up. And if you have read it, then you already know what I'm going to get into. So the zoo, when I started off this book, I thought we were going to get a beautiful memory of Bruce at the zoo as a kid, or maybe Batman was stepping up to save someone at the zoo. But of course, this is the absolute universe. It takes the traditional beats of Batman and it gives it a very different twist. Of course, the writer Scott Snyder, he's very well known for doing that. So let's start off at the beginning. So at first, because I had seen the cover for issue 2 before reading this, and I was like, oh, Ra's al Ghul, Batman's fighting him. That's not Ra's al Ghul. That's Alfred Pennyworth. So Alfred, he looks like he's just on his own. He doesn't know Bruce Wayne. He is sort of this spy. He is sent to Gotham to take intel for a group of criminals who are taking over the city. And when I started reading, so basically Alfred is the narrator of this book. Every time you see this type of text, it's Alfred talking. And off the gate, at first I was like, oh, okay, maybe Alfred was sent to the city by Bruce. But when you get deeper into the book, you start to know that Alfred is his own person working for a different agency, and he has no relationship to Batman. Croc's gym. So let's go ahead and get into. So the first few pages are about, it's Alfred coming back to the city, and he has this beautiful narration. Like right here, it says, "I don't think you're gonna like me much either." He's talking about Gotham City being this vessel of ugliness, and that's not what Gotham used to be. And now that he's back in town, Gotham's not gonna like him, you know. So I really like the symmetry of, like, he sort of has traditional Batman outlook on Gotham, even though he's carrying himself very differently from Batman. Croc's gym, immediately I knew Killer Croc. I was like, okay. Uh, when I when I first saw this guy, the skinnier guy, I thought that was Batman. I thought that was Bruce, and then it cut to this beefier boy, and I was like, oh, that's absolutely Batman, of course. Um, so we get introduced to this Bruce who is a beefy guy. You know, he works out in a gym. He's not working out in the Batcave. So, as I'm reading this book, I'm like, okay, so he's just working out at Killer Croc's gym. And it turns out him and Wayland have a relationship. Right here, they name drop Ozzy. And I'm going to go into the next panel, I think is one of the more important panels in this whole book, which this book is really amazing. And basically, Wayland and Bruce are just having a conversation. Wayland is saying, hey, you're going to come by, you're going to come hang out with us. Ozzy, Oswald, they're friends. And this right here ties into the zoo. So what I love, what Scott Snyder is doing with the story, is that he is providing you these characters that traditionally we know are villains, like Wayland, like Ozzy. Oswald is name dropped, and Bruce is like, it's not triggering or nothing because him and Oswald are friends, apparently, at least from what I get right here. Wayland says, you haven't come to poker in months, man. Everyone's in this week. Eddie, Harvey, Oz, and I'm even trying to get Selena to dial in. So, of course, we have Wayland right there with his arms out, Bruce with his hand on his shoulder, Selena with the cat ears, pretty obvious. In the back, that's Eddie for Edward Enigma, Riddler. And then right here, that's Harvey. He has a nice button up, some slacks. And at the bottom, I was like, I don't know who that is. I really don't. I can't really pinpoint. Oh wait, that's Ozzy. I'm tripping. I'm like, excuse me, that's Oswald. I was like, who is that? It's it's Oswald. So they're friends. Bruce grew up with these people, with his arch nemesis, with his villains. Um, and of course, I'm assuming when I get further into the series, something bad happens to them. But speaking of bad, the party animals right here. Um, Black Mass appears to be the leader of the party animals, um, and Roman. And I took these text bubbles because it just captured the sickness of the party animals. You know, when you have someone like Bruce Wayne who has the relationship with these people, with Eddie, Harvey, Oz, Selena, Wayland, it's like, what am I trying to say? Gotham City has been turned upside down by these group of scum. And Snyder, his text and the description of what this group of monsters, these animals did, it's very disturbing. And I think it paints Gotham in such a terrifying light in ways that I haven't seen in recent years, at least from my readings. They burned a daycare and danced around 32 burned people. Wayland says, did you see the footage? They tied a mother and a baby on bumpers to seeing which one he cuts out. You could put two and two together. They were probably horrible. On the bottom right, there's a man we'll get into later, at a conference, basically saying that he's scared to walk at night. And there's a little news text. Basically, they're going over a story about the party animals causing terror around the city. Maroni and Falcone, they didn't last that long in this universe, so I'm not surprised. There's been a lot of iterations where they don't make it past the first issue. But this is Black Mask and his people. They killed off Maroni and Falcone right away. So we're not going to see them anymore in this series. You never say never, but it looked pretty dead to me. All right. So I was always curious, what has this absolute world done to my boy Commissioner Gordon? What is he? He's the mayor of Gotham City. Like I mentioned, he's holding a press conference, and these are concerned citizens. You see two officers in front of him. They're not just random officers, they have a role. Bullock, and as we see a little later, I don't think I got a post about it. Barbara. But so Gordon is the mayor of Gotham City. I like that. And Harvey Bullock is the commissioner. I like that a lot too. And Barbara appears to be like a cop on the force. Don't know her title. This is just our first time seeing her as well as seeing all these characters. Of course, this is issue number 1. But I like the roles that these people are playing. It's like commissioner to mayor, it's a jump, but Gordon is the same type of person. Bullock, him being a hard-nosed sort of, he's a good cop, but he can be a little dirty at times, especially in different iterations like Cape Crusader. He's the commissioner, so I think that's pretty dope. When I read this, I was like, oh, it's just a concerned citizen. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. Of course, this is a spoiler review. That's Martha. She's at the conference voicing her concerns. When I was reading this, I didn't put two and two together. Bruce Wayne's parents are always dead. Martha is right here, alive and well. So I love that. And it's not the first time we've seen one of his parents live or survive, or him have interactions with his parents. Um, so and I love how she's drawn. Her and Bruce. Obviously, that's her son. So I like what the artist did. Right here, the party animals go in, shoot at Gordon. You see Barbara say "Dad," so now you know Barbara. Just get everyone out of here now. And oh my gosh, so we have Snyder throws us into this world of Gotham, throws us into it. We get that party animals have taken over the city. Bruce is friends with who go on to be his villains, his arch nemesis, or all his villains. He grew up with them at a school. Um, Commissioner Gordon is Mayor Gordon, Mayor Gordon of the city. Barbara's a cop. Bullock is the commissioner, Commissioner Gordon. Um, and the party animals acting crazy. All right, so now we're gonna get into the combat of this book. Obviously, we see Bruce use his cape to protect himself and shield himself from bullets. But this imagery, the way that it's portrayed, it's very much a bat hanging upside down. Right here, we see Batman crash into the city hall or wherever they're having this conference that the party animals are taking over, and he's a beefy guy and he's gonna wreak havoc on these fools. All right, first, his cape has hooks, and I think that's so badass. And he throws mother effers without any effort because he just launched that guy. So he hooks him around the neck and he launches him, and that guy gets some air. So this cape is very functional. It has those hooks are very interesting. I like how they're being used. Right here we see him use them sort of like as crutches, and he kicks his leg, splits, and takes out two guys. Bats walk on their hands. This is from later in the comic. I got this little poster right here because you know that Bruce obviously is inspired by bats. His whole imagery, his whole shtick is bats. I mean, obviously his name is Batman. But it just goes to show what they're doing to this for this book is that they're taking different elements that I haven't seen. Maybe we've seen this before. I really don't know, but I think it looks pretty dope. His ears are just knives. Are they? Yeah, they're batarangs because he throws them at the party animals, and he stabs a guy in the chest. Guy lives, and Bruce. So Pennyworth, Alfred is narrating this. He's observing this. I forgot to mention. Um, and he's basically narrating that Bruce is poised. He's trained martial arts. His hand-to-hand combat is impeccable. He's cutting people without hitting major arteries. So he has morals. He's not trying to kill these people. He's not trying to do that because that's not what Batman does. And Alfred is impressed, but also like, really, dude? Like, you're gonna save these people's lives? This was like a shock all moment. He takes out, looks like a wrench or something, or a hook, claps it onto his chest, and it's a damn axe, guys. That's I didn't that's so badass, dude. That's badass. That it now that I'm like talking about it out loud, it kind of reminds me of um Robert Pattinson. He had like a blade, like the bat symbol was like a blade. A lot of people said that they assumed it was like the gun that killed his parents, and which I thought it looked like it too. Um, but so he takes out an axe from his chest and he chops the dude's hands off. He drops. He's this Batman is savage as hell, and I love it. And you have to be savage when you're going against people who are blowing up daycares, against a group of people who are terrorizing, are killing old people, women, men, children, babies, these disgusting people. You got to get dirty with them sometimes, and Batman is not afraid to do that in this iteration. I just chose this image because it looks pretty badass. He tells them get out of my way because the guy that he cuts his hand and says get out of my way, and Bruce is like, no, you get out of my way because I'm Batman, mother. Um, like I mentioned, Pennyworth is observing. And yeah, I haven't mentioned this. I guess he's there to stop Bruce. He's there to stop Batman. He's there to kill Batman. It's laid out very well, but we don't know who his contact. We don't know who is sending him on this mission. So that's obviously something we're gonna find out a little later. And then the next few pages, or panels, is just very amazing groundwork of Bruce's backstory. So Bruce, not rich, he doesn't come from a rich family. His dad was a teacher and his mom, I think they said she was a lawyer, but even then, he's not a billionaire, of course. He works in the city, he does construction. He worked through town hall, he worked his way all the way up to the engineer position where like I said, he works for the city. Um, and let me go ahead and go to this real quick. Alfred is going through the story of Bruce. He was a football star in college, pretended to he faked an injury so he can save his body for something. He got into mechanics, to chemistry, to he's a philosopher. He molded his body and his mind and his traits and everything that he's worked over the years to be Batman. And I don't know if he did went to the League of Shadows. I don't think it's ever mentioned. No, it's not mentioned. The League of Shadows are mentioned, but not for Bruce. Um, so I love how Bruce is built up in this world. This page is probably my favorite page in the book, in issue number 1, because it's such an interesting and different origin for Bruce that I've never seen. And of course, it's not a Batman origin story without the portrayal of both his parents getting killed. But in this story, it's only one of his parents. Like I mentioned, this issue 1 is titled "The Zoo." It's a flashback of Bruce seeing his father get killed in front of him. His father is a teacher as compared to like a doctor, which traditionally that's what he is in other iterations. Um, and it's, it's sad because not only did Bruce see his parents get killed, but his friends saw his dad get killed, excuse me. But his friends even saw his dad get killed in front of them. And it's such a different take because Bruce has always had this trauma dealt by himself because he was the only witness of his parents' murders besides the actual killer, of course. And which, of course, Joe Chill. I don't know if they're going to do Joe Chill in this book. I shall see. But it's such like he shares his trauma with his schoolmates, with his friends. Obviously, it's his trauma more so because it's his dad. But I, I'm very interested to see what if his friends, if we see, well, we're gonna see, Riddler, we're gonna see Oswald and all them. We saw Wayland, of course. If they're ever gonna bring it up, I'm very curious if they're gonna do that. And of course, it's revealed that Martha is alive and that Bruce went to go visit the zoo to pay respect to his father. It's a very lovely scene, a very lovely panel because um, Bruce has a relationship with his mom because she's alive. And sadly, he saw his father get killed, but he goes and pays his respects and his honor for his father. And then wrapping up my review or wrapping up the book, we see that he sort of has his bat cave in an abandoned tower because these billionaires that bought out these buildings, these top floors, don't use them, and Bruce knows that because he works for the city. So that's very interesting. This was interesting. I thought he blew out the brains of Alfred. My jaw literally dropped when I saw this, when I read this. But it's not. He didn't kill him. He changed it to non-lethal bullets. So Alfred's still alive, but before I got to that part of the page, I was like, okay, well, this Batman kills. This Batman kills, even though he wasn't killing earlier, he kills Alfred. But of course, that's not the case. And before we get into the epilogue, I love this Batman. All right, next. And it's not a Batman origin story. It's not a Batman #1 without the Joker. This Joker apparently is a billionaire. He's super rich and he doesn't laugh at anything. That's why they call him the Joker. Um, so I am excited to see this iteration of the Joker. And we've seen countless ones. But for somehow this feels so fresh and I love it. So that is essentially my breakdown, my thoughts on Absolute Batman. I think this book, there's a reason why this series is like #1, if not one of the #1 selling series out right now. I guess the question I have for myself, am I upset that I waited this long? No. I think I'm ready to dive into this world. I'm ready to dive into these stories. And I'm ready to have Absolute Batman absolutely blow my mind, and I'm excited for the future. Yeah, I guess that's my review. I've never done a comic book review. I've done movie reviews, I've done TV show reviews, I've done video game reviews, but I've never done comic reviews, and I want to do that for this channel, for Cape Crusader Chris. Do I want to do scores? I don't think I'll do scores. Because I don't want to put this book on the metrics. I kind of just want to enjoy it for what it is. And issue 1, this is how I'll rate it. It's I love it. There'll be I love it. There'll be I enjoyed it. There'll be I liked it. It was okay, or I wasn't a fan. This was I love. I love this book. I love this issue #1, and I can't wait to get into the rest. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much my first ever review of a comic book issue. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Do the usual, guys, because I love this channel, and I love Batman. So as always, guys, I'm Chris. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.